The Texans' DeMeco Ryans doesn't have an exotic blitz package, but what he does have is a really nice boss package. I call this boss because it's bigs on same side. It's essentially a 5-0 front. What that means is we're going to have three parts to this. We're going to have a linebacker who's going to be down. We're going to have a boss, meaning we're going to have bigs on same side. So we're going to put three of our defensive linemen on one side. This is also known as an overload pressure. And then we're going to also have a defensive end on the other side. Typically, what you want to do, this is going to be your star defensive end. You want to isolate him on the tackle. It can be the left tackle and be the right tackle. For this one, in this sense, they are actually attacking the left tackle. Now, yes, Jalen Petrie is right here. So this is actually the Texan star. He is there because the running back is down. So what we can actually do is have a six-man front. A lot of times, too, they will put another backer here. So if we're running this out of a nickel, we're going to actually have kind of a 4-2 look, but we're going to boss this. We're going to mug the linebacker, and then we'll actually put another linebacker in the back in an off-ball position, or he can be mugged on the side. It really doesn't matter. What he does in Houston does a really good job of this is that they change up what that stunt is going to be. So a lot of times what you do to start out with is you just kind of reduce it into an overfront. And all that means is I'm going to pop out. I'm going to pop out. So our star's going to pop out. Mike's going to pop out. And all we're going to do is take our nose and we're just going to move him over on top of this guard. He's going to rush. Our three techniques going to rush the B gap. Our defensive end is going to rush. And then our other defensive end is going to rush. So we're able to play coverage. We can play cover one. We can play one lurk. We can do any coverage we want out of that. We're just kind of, this is essentially a simulated pressure in the sense that we're simulating pressure, but we're not running any kind of, but there's no blitz on top of that. So what you want to do and why, and let's talk about the boss front here for a second. What we really want to do with this boss front is we want to manipulate the protection. So because we have an overload side to this, to the left side of the defense, we're going to get a slide by the offense to the right. This is going to typically isolate the tackle. Now, the running back has to check outside to inside first, or he can do inside to outside. It doesn't matter. Now, what happens a lot of times is that this guard, you can even see his eyes. He's going to check the linebacker first, and then he's going to slide. So the nice thing about this is that we're really creating what's called combination protection. So we're going to actually have this slide side be the 3 to the 3 bigs. So we're going to get our slide to the bigs, and then we're going to get man blocking outside. So the running back is going to check outside to in, knowing that the guard is going to take him first. So if he sees him pop out, he's then going to check the back. If the backer is going here, he can then step up to it and help, or he can chip release on the outside, just depending on what we want. Now, typically in this setting, what you're going to get is a chip release outside because he's going to work here. The guard knows that he's going to take 0. There is no threat of an internal pressure. That's one of the famous, that's one of the most popular internal pressures is actually to move the backer here, have him attack this A gap right here, right up the middle, force this back to come here, even though you got him mugged right there, or you have him work outside and drop the defensive end. Now, in this set, we don't have that. Now, one way, again, I've shown you, this is how he gets multiple with it. This is how you can have a basic structure, meaning that we're just going to have one simple look, but we're going to then run multiple things out of it. So we already know about our over reduction. That's what we are going to get. Typically, the first snap is what you're going to get. Now, the other one, and the one that he used with the 49ers, he would actually put Bosa out here. You put your number 2 D end on the other side. And what you do is you blitz through the face of this tackle, you blitz through the face of this guard, and then you step up to really get this tackle the deep set, and then you loop him back inside. So what ends up happening on this boss wrap is that the center is going to take the nose. You have the guard working out here, and then the tackle deep set. So what we really want is he has to penetrate that inside shoulder of the tackle, grab the guard, because we want the double team here. And then what we want is the center to then grab this. So I'm actually going to work through the inside shoulder of the center. I want to make sure to grab him. We want to create an alley straight to the quarterback. So he's going to step up and then he's going to motion around. That's one of my favorite ones that he uses. So that I've already shown you two. Over reduction. We have our boss wrap. You can then obviously do the opposite, where I jab step across the center's face. We both knife in, and then I'm going to loop back out. It's almost like a flush stunt. You don't see that one typically unless you're really trying to get the quarterback to kind of bail out, or you have already set them up because you're pretty standard with the over reduction. That's typically what you're going to get. Now, another one that you can do is the knot stunt. So you can actually penetrate the nose through the A gap, and you're actually going to loop the three technique back. And so what that does is, once we get the center picked and we get the guard now is picked because he can't work back, you really want to make sure that that center grabs it, and then you're just going to work back. And again, mugging the backer helps, and then the tackle has to come out. Remember, we're trying to build alleys through these A gaps. Now, what we're going to look at is actually the ton stunt off of that. So we're going to get our three technique, and we're going to get our nose working this way. So it looks just like the over reduction. The deal that we're going to work with and what we're going to create is we're going to create a pick by the three technique, and then our nose is going to wrap back opposite. We're going to have our defensive ends work vertically. So this is what we're going to look at with the Texans versus the Bears. So as the play is snapped, you can see we're going to get our nose working across the face of the guard. You can actually see this right now. The center's actually working to this. So we're really getting a slide off of this. You can see that the guard is essentially taking the A gap and the B gap. He's waiting. You can see the linebacker's working to the face. He doesn't feel the linebacker come, so he's going to take first threat. The running back actually steps inside in case he comes, and he steps out. That way he's in charge of the B gap. You see that they're going to bull rush off the edge, and then they're actually sending the star off the edge as well. So this ends up being a full-time pressure. What I really like about this is it sets up the pick. So there's multiple ways you can set up a pick. This is the image that we want to see on film. We want to see the center grabbing the three technique and the guard clearly grabbing the three technique. At this time, there is nobody in this B gap that will be able to take our wrap around. And so they put the nose back into this B gap. You can see he works back, and there's no one going for the quarterback. And this is how you can create different stunts. If you're going to get any kind of man protection, or you're going to get slides, you want to create these angles. You want to create these alleys for your players. And this is a great example of doing that. So we looked at, I drew up the over reduction. I drew up the wrap. I drew up the knot stunt. This is the ton stunt off of it. And they can run all of these all through the same look. Now, what they did here is they added a bull rush by the defensive end and a hug rush here by the star, meaning that the back's going to step in, and so I'm going to be engaged. If he were to flare, I'm going to peel and eat it. And then all that defensive end would do, once he sees face, he sees the running back flash, he just works outside, and then you have your linebacker kind of, I call it a mush rush. He's not really rushing, but he's just kind of working vertical, and he's working as a spy. And especially when you're going up against a quarterback like Caleb Williams that gets out of the pocket, it loves to do things out of the pocket and move around, and is aggressively scrambling quarterback. Having an athletic linebacker that's spying the quarterback is always good, and that's exactly what we get here. As we go back through the film, we're going to see crossover, work back, make sure that three technique grabs both of those. Look, we have essentially taken three linemen with one, and now we've got our defensive linemen working to breathe down the neck of the quarterback. Once the defensive end realizes there's nobody popping back outside, he works through the B gap. You have Petrie take on the back, and then all we have with our linebackers, he's just kind of sitting around the box looking for any help. And this is a great example of Houston and how they use their boss front to create havoc around that offensive line, and how they can be very multiple with it in this sack against the Bears.